And we're live. Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Hope for Romantic M.A.N podcast. I'm your host, Dropping Dimes, aka the Hope for Romantic, aka the Feminist and Chauvinist Tendencies. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, showing up. Thank everybody for the continued support. I really appreciate it. People that have been streaming me on Spotify, iTunes, iHeart. Thank you. I really appreciate it. The people that comment behind the scenes, send me texts talking about thank you. I listened and I got something from what you're offering. I really appreciate it. So today's topic, right, it's kind of interesting because it's based off of a conversation that I had today. Anytime I see internet talk about relationships, or I see men, it's called the manosphere, talking about taking a position that I feel is toxic. Sometimes I jump the gun. Sometimes I jump the gun. And what I'm learning to do is I'm learning to chew the meat, spit out the bones. I'm learning that not everything they say I have to agree with, but there are things that I do agree with. Not all masculinity is toxic. I think we're at a day and age where that word has been hijacked by a movement. And now, whenever you say masculine, people want to throw the word toxic in front of it. And they want to claim that it's a bad thing. And I'm here to say, no, I absolutely defend masculinity. I absolutely defend taking that position in a relationship. A lot of times what you'll find is that some women crave that. Some women crave that. They want that. They need you to take that position. They're tired of living in masculine energy. They're tired of not only being the boss at work, not only being the boss of their life and of their children and having to make day-to-day decisions. Sometimes they just want to be able to sit back, relax, keep their feet up, and trust that the person they're dealing with is going to make responsible, logical, informed decisions on their behalf. They feel like, a lot of times we'll use the word, like when you're watching these shows, they'll ask you about submission. Oh, you have to be submissive. You have to be submissive. There's a couple of thoughts I have on that. All right. Number one, I hate the word because of the negative connotation. Right off the rip, a lot of people have a negative connotation. So I've decided in my personal life, I don't use the word submit. I use the word trust. I ask that you trust me. And what I found is that when a woman does not submit to a man, she's saying, I don't trust you. I don't trust that the decisions you make have my best interest in mind. I don't trust that the decisions you make will keep me safe and secure. I'm not willing to follow you down that path. I'm not willing to take a back seat to you because I don't feel like you can drive this car. You know what I mean? So it's important to note that trust, I think, is the primary thing when we're talking about quote unquote submission. But back to the whole topic about masculinity. One of the things I've noticed is that in that manosphere, one of the things that they're preaching to men, right, especially when they talk about high value and the percentage and all that, a lot of what they're telling you is become undeniable. Become undeniable. The best version of you is undeniable. The highest version of you is undeniable. Okay? And what they're telling you is that you cannot, the only man that complains about the standard is the man that cannot meet the standard. And a lot of times what these guys are doing is they're going after women. And when the women confront them and tell them, no, I just need this, this, and that, they're in their mind, they have to knock you down and call you aggressive. They have to knock you down and call you all combative. Oh, she doesn't get it. She's too hard. Da 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 da. Nah, that's not what she's doing. What she's doing is she's setting a boundary. She's setting a standard, right? And like I always say, The only guy that complains about the standard is the man who can't meet it. You know what I mean? So you have to look at yourself in the mirror. You know, if you meet somebody, if you meet somebody and they are putting, how do you say, they have a certain standard of how they want to be treated. Or better yet, here's what I meet a lot of. I meet a lot of women that say, I don't need him to be rich. I just need him to have what I have. Just have what I have. Meet me there. Meet me in a position where I'm not struggling anymore. Where adding you to my life is not like adding another child. Adding you to my life is an addition where now I have less worry, not more. You know what I mean? And I personally don't think that's too much. I really don't. Obviously I've been at times in my life where I would complain, but that was my job. My job was to complain, make her lower her standards. That way I had to work less, or I didn't have to work as hard. But that's when you were dealing with a boy. When you start to deal with a man, the man looks at it and says, okay, yeah, I should be at this level. And if I'm not, right, my job is not to complain about your standard. It's not to complain about what you're doing. It's not to complain about the level that you're living at. So if you live in a world where you take 5 vacations, uh, you have a $100,000 car and you wear bags that are like $2,000 each. Okay. Um, yeah, the problem is not your lifestyle. It's not that you're bougie. It's not that you have an issue. No, it's just that I don't fit your puzzle. I don't fit your puzzle. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna complain. Oh, she's expensive, man. She only eats at expensive restaurant. She only eats at whatever, whatever, whatever. Who's really the problem? Who's really the problem? Because she is accustomed to being able to provide that for herself. So she's supposed to dumb down because you can't get her there. How is she gonna trust you when shit goes left? That's what she's looking at. She's looking at it like this. She's like, if my world were to crumble right now, would you be able to pick up the slack and take care of me and take care of this situation that we're in? Could you handle it? If she feels like you can't, she will never submit to you. She will never, aka, trust you. You know, we're going back to being the highest level. I always say the highest level of game is honesty. Why is that so important? It's it means that a man has gotten to a point where he is so undeniable in his excellence, in his career, in his physical appearance, in the way he loves himself, in the plane, the vibration that he's on, that he could be honest with the people around him and give them the option to take it or leave it. I always say you'll be surprised what a woman will say yes to. It will absolutely blow your mind what she'll be okay with. Don't steal their power. Give them that power. And when you do that and women take it, see, I always said that, like, I'll be like, if I see a guy and he's with a bunch of women, right? I always ask, I was like, do they all know about each other? Like, is it all open? No, then you're not a player in my eyes. You're just the slickster. You're a con man. You got that off. Okay, cool. That's on you. No big deal. Now, if I look at you and I go, do they know nobody? Yeah, everybody knows about each other. I've told them all what my situation is, what my life is. That's a gangster. That's a gangster. You know, I find people, right, and I'm going to include myself in this. I find that you'll men, right, will be in these amazing relationships, and I feel like the number one thing we have to do is we have to look in the mirror first and be honest. I don't feel like men are honest with themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll look in the mirror and, yeah, this is what you want. You want this type of chick. She's hot. She's pretty. She works. She this. She's that. Da 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 da. You got to ask yourself: are you the type of man that deserves that type of woman? Are you that type of man that deserves that type of woman? Have you put in the work to earn that type of woman? Can you get that type of woman to trust you? Can you put yourself in a situation where that type of woman will look at you and respect you, right? Will you look at that woman, right? And can you look at her in the face? And if she says, "Hey, babe, I lost my job. You know, I'm out of this. I'm out of that. I'm broke. I'm done." Can you look at her and say, "We're good. I got you. I can take care of this"? No, you cannot, right? And you see, this is where people get confused. We're not talking about um, we're not talking about not being independent. Women are independent. See, women provide for themselves. They do all that. They're hustlers. They're gonna make it happen. But in any true partnership, you want to know that your partner has your back. And there must be nothing worse than when you hit a situation, when you hit a hard time in your life, and you look over your shoulder, and the person that's supposed to have your back, that's supposed to love you, supposed to care about you, throws their hands up and says, I don't know. You're on your own. That's not what they want. You know what I'm saying? So back to my initial point. You have to really work. You have to really work and be undeniable. You have to look at your life, and be honest with yourself and say, okay, cool. There's a lot of guys that I know that are physically fit, and physically they are amazing, but emotionally they're missing something. They're lacking. And I know guys that are emotionally intelligent. They're sharp. They're on point, but physically they're lacking. There's always an area in your life you need to improve, that you need to fix, and you cannot lie to yourself. See, what happens is we put a mask on early on. It's very easy. We put this mask on, this facade that we show the world, right? That's why any relationship that you've ever been in, it takes you a little bit before you start to see. I used to say it's the rose colored glasses. It's when you start seeing the imperfections in people, and you realize, can I mess with this person or not? Do I like it or not? You know what I mean? I'll give you an example, right? Even with me, I'll throw it on myself. I'll throw myself under the bus. Anybody who knows me knows, hey man, Mike's been through a lot, physically. He's been through a lot, health wise, right, in his life. So it would be ridiculous of me to meet a woman, right, that loves to, hey Mike, you know what I love to do? I love to fucking climb trees. Come on, I'm a tree climber. Yeah, that's what I do in my hobbies. And maybe because I want to get laid, guess what? Oh yeah, yeah, tree climbing. Yeah, that's, you know what? I do all my little research on tree climbing, and I have a great conversation about tree climbing and tree climbing and tree climbing. And then there comes the point where she sees how I'm moving, and she's like, "Oh, you're not a tree climber at all." Now, would I get mad at her? No, I should have looked in the mirror and said to myself, "Hey, Mike, either you're gonna get into the type of shape that's built to climb trees, or leave that woman alone." That's why I say be honest with yourself. You got to learn to be honest. You got to learn to look at the situation, right, and um stop thinking with your penis. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, too many of us are motivated and move with our penis. We meet somebody, they make us feel comfortable temporarily. We feed them. What is it? It goes the same old line. Um, Men fall in love with their eyes. Women fall in love with their ears. That's why women wear makeup and men tell lies. And the truth is, in the beginning, you have that facade. You put up that temporary person that can get by for a little while, and then one day she sees you for the person that you are, and then you get upset. Right? Here's the deal: it'd be a sin for me to get upset with that girl that likes to climb trees. Why am I getting mad at her? She's always liked to climb trees. That's been her deal. That's what she enjoys. You know what I mean? Now I'm mad because I can't meet that standard. I'm pissed because, oh no, she's, man, all she want to do is climb trees. So, that's always been her. It's me that was the issue. And I find like a lot of guys that I know where they're not honest with themselves, they find themselves in that situation. In the beginning, they tell women exactly what they want to hear. They talk about ambition and they talk about these goals. And what, ladies, the biggest lie a man ever told you is I'm gonna, all right? Is I'm gonna. It's all Bullshit. We don't operate like that. We don't. We either do, are doing, or don't. It's not I'm gonna. So like when I was younger, I remember they'd be that game. Like you hear guys, younger guys, they'd be that game. Yeah, man. I'm trying to get my credit together because I'm gonna buy a house. Shut the front door. You're so full of shit. You're so full of it because that's not how that works, bro. That's not how that works. When you're talking to somebody who's really in it, they're gonna give you details. Well, yeah, this is what I'm doing. This is the process that I'm in. This is what I'm doing. They're gonna give you exacts. This is how I'm doing it. Yeah, yeah, I paid this off and I took care of this and I'm handling that and I'm ordering and I'm finding out what this bank says about this because in about 2 months and they give you details. Not I'm gonna. That's bullshit. That's like I'm gonna commit. I'm gonna leave my wife. I'm gonna buy a house. It's all. If you hear the words "I'm gonna," that should be my next thing. Biggest red flag out. I'm gonna. It's bullshit, bro. Ladies, sharpen that woman's intuition, that God given gift that God gave you. Sharpen that up, man, because that's your spidey sense. That's in. When you hear that word "I'm gonna," just walk away. Walk away, because men, we just don't operate in that space. And you're gonna want to give Ben the benefit of the doubt, especially if you're in that situation right now, and the guy has you convinced that he's trying. No, I see it. He's no, listen to me. It's bullshit. We either are doing, did it, or aren't gonna do it at all. That's it, man. It's not about I'm gonna. On the flip side, man, let's go back. You got to be undeniable, man. You gotta put yourself in a position, right, where it doesn't matter what her standards are. It's they say it's not about meeting Mrs. Right. It's about being Mr. Right, becoming Mr. Right. That's what I try to explain because if you're gonna take something away from like the Donovan Sharps, the Kevin Samuels RIP, the Fresh and Fit, and all these young guys that talk about this stuff, you're gonna chew the meat and spit out the bones. Take that out of it. Take that part. Take the part where he's trying to tell you, become undeniable. Be the best version of you. The best version of you will attract the best version of what's made for you out there. You know what I mean? When you're vibrating on that high level, that's when what's meant for you and what's good for you will come to you. You know what I mean? In the meantime, every woman, no matter how good she is, no matter how good the woman is, man, she could be the best woman in the world. I hear this a lot. I hear, oh, no, like they'll ask you, all men cheat, all men cheat. Like, why? Oh, because I was his everything. I did everything for him. I was sexual. I took care of him. I took care of his. I was like, oh, okay. So that's there we go. That's mistake number one. Mistake number one, you thought this had something to do with you. Sweetheart, it has nothing to do with you. A man cheating has zero to do with the woman that he's with. There's always exceptions to that rule. All right. Obviously, there's always situations that, outliers. But for the most part, the woman rarely has anything to do with why a man cheated. You could be Mother Teresa. You could be a saint. You could be a porno star. It doesn't matter what you are to him. He'll still cheat. I always say this. Until a man loves himself, all women are just a bump in the road on the way to self-discovery. They are considered drugs that get you high temporarily to fill that void that you have in your heart. They're temporary. It's like putting a band-aid on emotions that need stitches. You meet a woman. See, I always tell people, they're like, oh, men go looking for sex on the internet. They go looking for sex. They know they all want sex. No, sweetheart, that's not true. Men go looking for happiness. Like, what does that mean? Men go looking for happiness. No. That sometimes that happiness comes in the form of a one night stand. The happiness comes in the form of a 3-month relationship. That happiness sometimes comes in the form of a long format relationship, right? But like with anything, as soon as the high wears off, as soon as that person can't fill that void for you anymore, and the high wears off, a being with him wears off. Now what do you have to do? You have to replace that drug. You have to do another drug. You have to mask it with something else, and you have to get it something else. So a lot of men are using women like they're drugs. I meet a woman, she gets me high temporarily. See, you ever meet a guy? A lot of women out there, right? They met a man on the internet, and they thought he was the one. They thought 100% he was the one. He came in, he love bombed them. He was like, yo, this guy is everything I ever wanted. He was so sweet. You know, my ex never took me anywhere. This guy took me to the Bahamas. This guy, my ex never did this. He introduced me to his whole family. He does it all. And he's a dream. Like he's everything you've ever wanted. But here's the problem. In about 2 months, 3 months, he disappears. And you get ghosted. And you're sitting there thinking you're the problem. What did I do wrong? Oh my God, what happened? Why? Why did he stop talking? Why did he stop calling? What the hell? What's wrong with this guy? Blah, 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 blah. Or he hits you with this one even better yet. This is a higher level of game. He hits you with a really authentic, great reason on why he's not ready for this relationship, on why he cannot be in this. It's like you ask him, why are you, why can't you be in this? Oh, I look again. I'm not perfect. I always make sure that I'm as transparent as it comes when it comes to this platform, and I always want to let you know that like my friend Shatara Curry says, I'm a little ain't shit. I still got a little ain't shit in me, and I always had it in me. It was always a little ain't shit in me. And back in the day, I've told the story a million times. I used to meet a woman, right? We would be together. She would start to care about me. But because I didn't love myself, I knew this relationship wasn't going to work. I didn't want to be here. It was fun, but no, not enough for commitment. I wasn't ready. I wasn't there. So what would I do? I would come up with a very valid reason, a very great excuse on why you why we couldn't be together, right? It has to sound amazing. So like me back in the day, being the douchebag that I was, my my thing was this. I'd say stuff like, I had just moved here from New Jersey. So when a woman would press me about being together, oh Mike, we need to be together. Come on, I really care about you. I would look at them dead in the face and say, I would, man, but I have 1 foot here and 1 foot in New Jersey. I got a young daughter back there and she needs me and I'm such a good father and I want to go back to be with her and I'm not sure. This is crazy. I'm battling because she needs me. Right? No self-respecting woman is gonna combat that. No self-respecting woman is gonna look at you and say, no, F that little girl, pick me over her. They're gonna completely understand. And when they go to talk to their friends, you know what they're gonna say? No, he's such a good guy. It's just that, his daughter's in New Jersey and he's thinking about moving back. And I could play that game with you for a couple of weeks, right? A couple of weeks. And then one day you're gonna puff up your chest, you're gonna say something like, oh, but what happened? What do you mean? No, like, you haven't left yet. What's up? And then that's when I disappear, right? I kind of slow the conversation down, I disappear. Now, here's the beauty of that strategy, and it sucks for women. It also sucks for men because men go through this too. Here's the strategy on that. Now, when I come back around in about 2 to 3 months, you don't remember me as an asshole that cheated on you. You don't remember me as an asshole that treated you bad. Nothing like that. You remember me as the guy where the timing was bad, where I was just being a good father. So then you give me the door and you open the door for me. You're like, so as you asking, has the situation changed? Has it gotten better? And I kind of give you the yeah a little bit, and you let me back in your life because you want me there, right? And then guess what? I do it again, and it's a revolving door of me coming and going as I please. You don't realize I'm coming and going as I please, but I'm coming and going as I please, right? And it's a strategy, right? And it's a same dynamic as before though. It's the same thing. A guy that doesn't love himself, that is not ready to love anybody else, literally um, using these women as a band-aid for emotions that need stitches. They got a void in them that none of these women could fill. None of them. It's up to the man to step off and become undeniable. Look in that mirror and say, okay, what parts of my life am I unhappy with? What parts of my life need improvement? You know, spiritually, emotionally, financially, mentally. You know, what needs work? Okay, I'm overweight. Let me get on a diet. Let me work out. Let me get myself in shape. Oh, I have childhood trauma that I haven't dealt with. Okay, let me work on that. Let me get help. Let me really address that so that I'm not making other people suffer because of it. Um, Financially, I'm a mess. You know what? I'm gonna drop everybody for 6 months. I'm gonna put everybody down. I'm gonna be by myself. Alone is good. Lonely is bad. So I'm gonna be alone, and I'm gonna dedicate myself to my finances. You know, I'm not missing anything. YOLO, none of that stuff. Um, I'm good. I'm gonna be home, and I'm gonna get an extra job. I'm gonna whatever reorder my finances, whatever it is that I got to do. That's what I'm gonna do to get right. And you take that time for yourself. Um, Spiritually, look, maybe I need to reconnect with a higher being. Maybe I need to reconnect with the universe. You know, maybe I need to center my energy. Maybe I need to go see someone that can help me open up my third eye. Whatever it is you believe, sometimes that's what you need. Sometimes you need that type of help. Whatever it is, it's up to you to look in the mirror, right? Look at the man in the mirror and examine yourself and say, and be honest. That's the hardest thing for a man. I ain't gonna lie to you. Our egos sometimes, man, they don't allow us to look in the mirror and just be honest. You know, they make everybody around us the problem. Every woman's standards are the problem. She's asking for too much. She needs too much. Oh, she's always busting my balls. Oh, she always wants whatever. Yo, no, 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 no. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. Most of the time, the women out there are not asking for anything over the top. So far, you know, I always talk about the bell curve, and I always talk about how, you know, on one end of the spectrum, yeah, there's women that need you to make X amount of dollars, live a certain lifestyle, move a certain way. That's true. That does exist. But then there's women on the other end of the spectrum, right, on the lower end that don't demand anything. You know, there's men that are alcoholics, drug addicts, cheaters, and the women just stay there, right? So there's those two different ends, right? Where do most people land? In the middle. Most women just want you to meet them where they're at. I have a car. Can you have a car? I have an apartment or a house. Can you have a place to live that's your own? You know what I'm saying? That's not living with your mom. That's not living on your sister's couch. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of boys out there playing man. There's a lot of boys out there trying to play man, trying to play house, pretending. But you could only pretend for so long, man, because she's eventually going to ask you to step up, and she's going to actually need you to prove that you are that man. And when all of a sudden it becomes too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, you you you're happy with that job that you have. You're happy living that simple life, that job that you have, right? And because she demands more from you, now she's asking for too much. No, no, no. She's just asking for you to have the same ambition, match her ambition. She's asking for you to match her hustle. She's asking for you to lead. A lot of times, women are giving us the keys to the car, and because we're still boys, we don't take it. And this is why I'm going to bring it all full circle. This is why I'm not against the masculinity talk on the internet. I feel like there's a generation of guys that need to be taught to be men. To be men. Now, look, being toxic, that's different. Let's not blend the two. Let's not mix them up, because what happens is Now everything that happens, you become toxic. You're toxic. You're toxic, and people want to use it as they want to weaponize that word, and they want to kind of like throw it out at the misopportune time. That's not cool. That's not no. I just don't want to devalue that word anymore. You know what I'm saying? So like these guys, what they're trying to do is they're overcompensating. So they're trying to be hyper masculine. That's no. All you have to do is be. Maybe it's because my definition is different. I know my definition has always of masculinity has always been very different than what a lot of men might think. I have like versions. So there's macho, then there's toxic. So there's toxic, there's macho, then there's masculine, right? So toxic is misogynist, is your thoughts on women are just in the trash. You know what I'm saying? And the way you handle the patriarchy and the way you manage that power is in the trash. That's not good. Macho is, you there's a lot of displays of quote unquote manhood, whether it's martial arts, whether it's lifting weights, whether it's in settings where you puff your chest as the alpha, things like that. Okay, yeah. Then there's masculine, right? And what does that mean to me? When I look at a man, I don't care if he's frail, I don't care if he's gay, I don't care if he's um I don't care what he is, right? If I'm looking at a man, they can be very masculine to me if when I look at their family is clean, taken care of, protected, and their home is well put together and their family is happy. That's the definition to me of a masculine man. That's a guy that steps up, right, and says, I see what the dangers are for my family. I see what can affect them. And you know what? I stand in the front as the shield of my family and I take care of them. Whether it's man, whether it's man, woman, however you want to put it, that guy to me is a stud. He's a beast. That's who I respect. I don't care how many guys you can knock out. I don't care how many guys, how much weight you can lift. I don't care. None of that means anything to me. If I look at your family and your kids don't have a smile on their face, they're not clean, they're not in a good environment, healthy, taken care of, I lose respect for you as a man. I fall off. I don't look at you as, oh, he's masculine. He's no. You don't get that credit from me. That's a high compliment. You know what I mean? It's a very high compliment when I say, yo, masculinity, and I talk about man, and I talk about an alpha. That's the guy that leads their pack. He's the guy that when you look at him with his lady doesn't submit. She trusts him. She understands that he's gonna make the right decision for the family. She understands that he's gonna sacrifice himself in whatever means. I always say it, man. I have one of my brother. I don't even call him my friend, my brother. I watched him, really just the way he handles his children and his family and the role that he takes sometimes, right? That sometimes it's almost like a Mr. Mom thing. And that's completely a compliment. Sometimes it's like a Mr. Mom thing, right? And yet when I look at that, I have nothing but admiration, and I can only say he's one of the dopest men I know. That's as masculine as you can get in my eyes. A man that's willing to do whatever it takes, take whatever role necessary, as long as his family is moving forward, as long as his family's in the best opportunity to win. That's the guy that I look to and I say, that man right there, that's an alpha. That's a stud. That's the guy. Not the man that sleeps with a bunch of women. Not the guy that's out there driving the great car. You know how they talk on the internet about, high value? High value, obviously, I understand the context in which he was talking about high value, like back on the internet. I understand that. The context that he's talking about is he's also talking to a lot of women who are, like, in their minds, delusional and want this type of man that's perfect when they're nowhere near perfect. You know what I'm saying? They want the perfection without having to offer perfection. So I know what he was trying to do. He was trying to set those women straight and be like, "Yo, chill out. You're not built for that. Knock it off." But I have to say this: I on the whole, I don't agree with what he described as a high value man. Okay, because I can guarantee you, if we did it by percentages, there's probably as few emotionally intelligent men as there are men that make over $150,000. There are probably fewer emotionally intelligent, in tune men on this earth than men that make over $150,000. I can almost guarantee that. So many of us are damaged. So many of us are hurt. So many of us have been through ups and downs, and I still, believe it or not, man, I always say you could have a 45-year-old boy or a 25-year-old man, and there's so many of us still finding ourselves. So looking for ourselves, that it's probably so. When you talk about high value, I'm looking at it like this: where do you put your value? Where do you put your value? Yeah, the superficial world puts the value in money, but when you look into families across the country and you look at divorce and you look at all these things, where is that really coming from? Where's that really coming from? Is it coming just from finances? Nah, it's not. It's deeper than that. It's usually deeper than that. The finances is usually the last straw. There was already something brewing there, and then the finances came and broke the camel's back. You know what I mean? It was, if you find a man, right, that, I'll give you an example. There's balance. So if there's balance in a relationship, and your man is, he doesn't make the money you make, but he's super handy, right? So you put a value on his handiwork, on his hands, and you realize that, yo, I may make $250,000 a year, and he may make 90, but guess what? I have to put a value to his what he brings to the table, because he's awesome with his hands, and he saves us 10,000 in the kitchen. He saved us 4,500 in the basement. He fixed the roof for 10,000. He did all that, and you add that up as well. You understand what I'm saying? Like where you find balance, you could look for balance as well. It's not all about income and money. You got to see where this person, what they bring to the table. You know what I'm saying? What is it that what skill set does their skill set, right, help move the family forward? You know what I'm saying? Is it set up for success this way, and give them the value that they deserve? Just because they don't show up with cash, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean they don't bring value to the relationship. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, people will dismiss that. They dismiss what the person brings. Another person I know. Like I said, um, I knew a couple. She owned two homes before they met, right? And they got together and they got married. And he made significantly less money. He was like a security guard, and she was like a director of some company. And at first they came to me, and it was one of the couples that I spoke to, that I did my work with, and they were, oh man, this wasn't going to work, and I need a man, and she kept going off how she needs a man that's going to do this and a man that's going to do that, da 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 da. So, because she couldn't go on vacations and she couldn't do this and she couldn't do that. So I'm like, oh, okay. And as we spoke and things started to get uncovered, we realized, oh, so you guys, oh, so those are your houses? Yeah, these are my houses. I bought these houses. Da 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 da. Oh, wow. Okay, cool. So a lot of money goes into those houses. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, okay. So what kind of repairs you done? Well, he did the floors. He put the floors in. Blah blah blah. And then he went. We got windows, and he installed the windows, and he did it. And I'm noticing. I'm like, I'm in my head. I'm just calculating. No lie. Before we stopped talking, before I let her stop talking, I had calculated in the last year, this man had done labor wise. Let's say labor. Let's say a day's labor at 250. Right? Who knows? It could be more, it could be less. Yeah, I calculated somewhere in the in the low 20 something thousand, maybe mid 20,000 a range of how much he had put in with sweat equity. You know what I mean? And I had to let her know. I'm like, hey, okay, you make X amount of more dollars, but this is how much he saved you. This is how. Oh, but it's his house too. Wait. That's not the game we can play. We can't play that game. You cannot give him credit. You cannot take credit away for him not bringing money into the house, but then not give him credit for all the work he did, backbreaking work he did to make sure that this is a home for you. You know what I mean? She backed off. She understood. And, to this day, they reach out and they're like that their relationship has much improved since she took that perspective. That he does. He pulls his weight. He just pulls it, in labor and the amount of work that he does around the house and the things that he does for her. You know what I mean? So she took a different perspective. So now she allows for that in the relationship. But I also told him, I was like, hey, listen, man, how many jobs do you work? Oh, I work one job. What are you? I'm a security guard. How many hours a week do you work? I do 40, you know. And then I'm like, okay, so are you busy the rest of the time? What do you do? They don't have any kids. I'm like, so what do you do the rest of the time? Ah, man, I like to play my game and I'm home and I'm chilling, watch the game and just blah, blah, blah. So now I have to pull him to the side and I have to look at him and I go, well, your wife is telling you what creates anxiety in her heart and in her mind. She's explaining to you that, yo, this money thing is getting to her, stressing her out. You're still a young guy. Even why don't you get a second job? Why don't you hustle? Why don't you go yourself out there and hustle for her? What's holding you back? And it started to come out that because she makes so much money, he doesn't feel the need. And I was like, nah, buddy, that's not how this works. That's not how this works. Your job is to ease her anxiety. Not be part of it. Just because she makes that money, that means that's accounted for. That's already spent. It's already kind of like she's already put that in play. She needs you to step up because she has dreams and aspirations and she wants more out of life. Can you help her achieve that? And he had to sit there and I'm like, what better do you have? What else do you have going on? What do you have going on? Be honest. And he couldn't answer me. And he said, yo, you know what? He went and he picked up a job driving Uber, I think. Right? So he goes, he starts driving Uber. And believe it or not, after a couple of weeks, his wife comes to him and says, baby, I appreciate the effort. I appreciate how hard you've been working. You're amazing. You know what? I see the money. I see how you've been trying to bring it in. But I'd rather have you here home, rested and healthy, than killing yourself working a second job. See how that worked? He showed her the effort and the energy that he wanted to dedicate back into the relationship, into his family. And what did she do? She took that and said, no, I respect it. Thank you for putting that at ease. Thank you for putting me at ease. Thank you for addressing what creates anxiety in me. Thank you for helping me feel safe and secure. But you know what? After examining the situation, I'd much rather have you here with me, happy and healthy. And in the end, he got to quit the job. He still works his regular job. And now she appreciates his time at home. She allows him to sleep, relax, and do all that. And it seems like everybody kind of got what they want for now. Obviously other problems are going to arise eventually, but that's how it is so far. You know, that's the key. The key is to become undeniable, man. Look in the mirror, be honest with yourself, and work on yourself in all aspects, man. And really, don't don't go into a woman's life unless you know what the standard is. You can meet it. There's nothing worse than when you go into a woman's life and as a disruptor. I always say, right. So lately, one of the things that I've been talking to women when I'm coaching them is women will say stuff to me like, "No, Mike, I'm really happy right now. I'm happy. I'm in a good space. I'm happy. I don't want a relationship." And this is when I look at them and I go, "Oh no, no. This is when you should be open for love. Be open for love when you're happy, when you're feeling good. Don't be open. What else are you gonna open? When there's not a destination, it's not a place you're gonna go magically land, and then all of a sudden, okay, now I'm relationship ready. No, it's not how this works. If you are happy and you're in a good space, be open to love again. I'm not saying go look for it. I'm saying be open to love again. In that openness, right? Understand that you're not looking for anybody that can come in, is not a Prince Charming, is not going to come in and sweep you off your feet. That's not what you're looking for. What you're looking for is a man that looks at your situation, he sees your happiness, the bubble that you're in, and says, okay, I could compliment this. I don't want to be the reason you're happy. I don't want to be the only reason you're happy. I just want to be one of them. And what they see is they see your life, they look around and they help facilitate your happiness. And they help do things that continue that trend of you being happy. They don't come in, burst that bubble, and make you chase them. No, what about me? What about me? No, that's red flag number one. If you're coming into my life, you're not coming into my life to take my happiness or be the reason why I'm happy. You're coming into my life to add to it, to add to this wonderful time, this wonderful feeling, this wonderful time in my life. This finally, I'm loving myself. I feel good. I'm able to share this love with somebody else. This is cool. Don't come try to suck me dry. When you come into my life, you look around and you say, okay, cool. I love the space that you're in. I'm not going to change anything. I just want to work around you to make sure that you're good. But only complete men can do that. Incomplete men come in, they see a woman that's happy, and what they want to do is completely disrupt her life because they want to steal that happiness. They want that happiness to start being directed at them because they can't provide it for themselves, so they're going to suck you dry and they're going to take it from you. And I feel like too many men are at that position in their life right now, and that's why I'm preaching. I'm preaching. Yo, look in the mirror, man. Look in the mirror. The only man that complains about the standard is the man that cannot reach it. And there's plenty of good women out there right now, right, that have worked hard to achieve certain goals, that have worked hard to start businesses, that have worked hard to, get to where they're at emotionally. They've been through trauma, they've been through horrible relationships, and they finally worked up the courage to get to a great place. You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't it be nice to be the type of man that sees that and says, okay, cool, let me help you take some of this stress off of you. Let me help you. Let me help you. Let me look at your life, examine it, and say, okay, this is where I fit in. This is where I can help you. You know what I mean? Then and only then have you achieved the higher self. Then and only then do you start loving yourself. When you could do that, when you can go into somebody's life and not disrupt it, but share your happiness with theirs in an equal exchange of energy, then and only then have you really reached that self-discovery. Then and only then does it matter the woman that you run into. That's the only time it matters. Before that, I'm telling you, man, it doesn't matter. She blows you 10 times a day. She cooks for you. She does backflips. She is everything you've ever wanted, good looking, hot. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Until you fix yourself, I promise you, every woman is just a bump. They're just a bump in the road, man. It's sad. And the problem is, many men have left a series of bumps in that road of their past where they've hurt a lot of great women. They've hurt a lot of great women, man. My advice to you, and when you start walking in that light, in that vibration of loving yourself and really understanding who you are as a man, what you realize is that cheating doesn't become an option anymore. Cheating doesn't become an option anymore because you're not trying to fill any voids. You're actually good. You're comfortable. You're like, no, I'm good. I'm in a good space. No, I don't need to. I don't need to cheat. You know what I'm saying? You also find that you're willing to fight just a little bit harder for somebody that you care about. You're not so quick to run away and bounce. You know what I mean? Because your ego was bruised, or because they did something you didn't like. No, no, no. Now, because you're whole, you're willing to work through things. You're willing to just say, hey, look, I made a mistake. You're willing to apologize. there's a lot that comes with it, man. And I can only hope that as men, we talk to each other and we're able to do the work. We're able to chat with each other. We're able to really let each other know, hey, man, you know, back in the day, how many women you slept with was a badge of honor. It was a pat on the back. Yo, that a boy, my boy, man. My boy gets all the chicks. Da 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 da. And I was one of them. I was 100% one of them. And now, as I get older, I'm realizing, oh, that doesn't define you as a man. And I hope that that's the narrative that we really start to push. That's not masculine. That's not a man. Let's look at your family. Let's look at your people around you that love you. How you take care of them. What shape they're in. The smiles on their face. That's what matters. That's what's important. Let's bring that back. If we could do that, I think a lot of the world's problems would stop because along with that comes respecting women. Along with that comes you know respecting relationships. So we'll see where that goes. Um, and I'm going to close out like this. Had a great weekend. My Jets won. Super happy. Go Jets. I'm excited. Thank God. Sometimes I always complain that the only times I enjoy football season are during the draft and the day before football season. But finally, we got a couple wins under our belt. We got some good young rookies. So I'm really excited about that. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you for everybody who's going to listen, everybody who's going to check out this video. I really appreciate you. They say the two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you discover water. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Hopeful Romantic M.A.N. podcast. I am your host, Mr. Dropping Dimes, a.k.a. the Hopeful Romantic, a.k.a. the feminist with chauvinist tendencies. And I want to say thank you once again for joining me in my water. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen. Peace out.